Good morning. I hope everyone is well today. I am. This is actually a repeat. This is a second go around for me on this particular set of videos. I had attempted on, let me see, Thursday or Friday to do the video to be released tomorrow, and I was really struggling with the clouds, so I'm having to spend a little time refamiliarizing myself with that particular concept. So I actually, in the process of that, I actually just reorganized my thinking completely on where we're going to go from here on this painting. And I will mention that I'm working on the other side of the table to mix today, and I think this will work better. It keeps my hands out of the way, so hopefully you can see what we're doing a whole lot better. I'm just going to mix a small amount of paint in case I don't get to immediately get to the actual filming of the painting video, but I'm just going to mix a small amount of the paints, and that way I won't have to worry about my paints drying before and I think that's what happened the other day. I mixed pretty good volume of paint, and then I was busy for a few hours. Then I got back to my painting and tried to work on my clouds, and my paints had dried just enough to cause problems. So anyway, realize that what I'm mixing is not necessarily the volume you need, and but we will just go from here. All right, now what we're going to do today, actually in the video, is we're going to go ahead and put these little clouds down here in this section. We're going to work down in here, but we will be coming up in the clouds, or up in the sky, just a little bit above this sun area. So hopefully today we will finish the bottom 1/3 of this painting, and then I think in one session, the next week's session, we should be able to finish our clouds. So let's just mix the paints that we're going to need for down in here. Now, you'll notice that the clouds, and I hope there's not a bright spot on here, but the clouds down in here are just a pale gray. They have just a slightly purple cast, and that's because they're picking up the colors from these clouds up here. But let's just work with a little bit of the colors that we see there. First, get you some white. Always white, seems like. And we will go ahead and use just a little bit of the ultramarine blue, because I do want it to something, whatever. I'm a little fuzzy this morning. All right. I'm just putting out the colors that I think that I might see in those clouds. And a little bit of Winsor Red. I'll put out a little bit more of Winsor Red because I'll be using it in a few minutes over in here. All right. Move my paints back out of the way. And let's start with just a little bit of Payne's Gray, just so we can see where we need to go with it. And I'm finding it interesting getting reacquainted with my paints as well. All right, and we may not even use any of the ultramarine, because I think I'm seeing more of the Winsor Red, or more purple down in there than blues. Yeah. that's the direction I want to go. I'm going to darken it just a little bit. And you know what? I think I may put just a teeny tiny little drop of raw umber there. And the reason for that is I want to dull that down. That's a nice, bright, almost a lilac. What do I do with my t-shirt, girls and guys? Let me grab my t-shirt so I can clean off my palette knife. All right. And not very much of the brown, because all we're wanting to do is just dull that color down a little bit. Now when you're mixing your own colors and you're ready to paint, you can mix that particular color. You're going to need very little of anyway, but you can mix more of it. I wish, and next time we paint, you know what I may do? I may see about running copies of the photograph, and those that are interested in it, they can just send me $1 or $2 to mail them to them, and that way you'll have the photograph in your hand and you can follow along much easier. You can see the colors and compare the colors much easier. I don't know why I didn't think about doing that this time. All right, I think we're good there. I'm going to allow for just a little bit more purple and a little bit of that. I went way too much. Maybe not on that end over there as it goes back toward the edge of the painting. We do turn pretty purple. I think we can get away with that. And over here, I'm still wanting more purple in there, so let's just pick up a little bit of that. All right. Or at least there should be a way for maybe, if some of you that are more techie than I am probably know of a way to actually copy the photograph itself off of your screen. It would just make it easier if you had it in your hand. Okay, now let's see. Now, because the colors are, because I've got paint all over it for one thing, but because it's hard to see down in there, we're going to create some colors in our mind for just what should show up there if we were looking at it directly, but what doesn't show up there. I don't want this section on our painting to just be that dark color with no definition at all in it. So what we're going to do is get out our olive green. This will be the first time we've used our olive green. And as dark as it is, it won't show up on our dark section that we have down in there. So what we're going to do is lighten it just a little bit with the Naples. And we're going to make several different colors of that, because down in here it's going to be not as bright as it will be on up toward where the light's hitting it. So well, actually we can start out with our darkest green and then just lighten it as we go. I wonder if you're seeing what I'm doing. I don't think you are. Let me move this down toward you a little bit. So that would be our darkest green that we're going to use on there. And then we can take part of it over and lighten it just ever so slightly. We don't want any of it to, it's just going to be a pop here and there where it's going to be a little bit lighter. And then maybe lighten it one more time. All right, and that will just come up really probably right along the very edges of those sunbeams. All right, so let's create some of this right here. And that's also going to be our Winsor Red and our Naples. All right. We may need just a little bit of the lemon to give it the actual yellow hue that we want, but not a whole lot, just a little bit. And I'm doing what I've suggested y'all not to, dipping my palette knife in my clean paint. That's just never a good idea. All right, now as you can see, we've got these. Let's get a little bit, well, I did it anyway. Let's make this a little bit more orange. Okay, now that's those colors right up closest to that sun. And then let's make it a little darker coming down away from the sun. It's got a little bit more red in it. Okay, I think we're good. And those two colors should suffice for that. Now, right here in the sky, and the reason I want to go ahead and brighten up that sky behind that sun and work on that sun is because as we work on these mountains right here, we're going to finish up this edge, and I don't want to have to go in and try to do anything that's going to be behind this tree line. That'll just be irritating. So let's take our clean Winsor lemon, where I messed with it a moment ago, and let's take a little bit of clean Naples yellow, and you can see that it is a really intense color right there. So we don't want to soften it too much with this Naples yellow, just a little bit. Are y'all seeing this? I'm hoping. Yeah, I think so. That's the only problem with not being behind the camera itself. All right. I just want to soften it a little bit, and I'm going to add some white. I hear my geese out there making noise this morning. They're being sillies. Okay, I don't see anything that color. So let's go in with quite a bit more of the Naples. That's what that color turns into as we get further away. And let's do about half of that in a light color. Add some white. Let's bring it down here where I know you can see it. I think that kind of put us in the shade. That's pretty good. And now let's take half of that. I'm being confusing, I know. And I have red in my lemon yellow. Don't do that, girls and guys. Just don't. I'm silly. Let's add a bit more lemon yellow and still brighten that up just a tad. It's this is one of those, if you had the photograph in your hands where you could kind of judge where the color's going as you mix, it would be much easier than me trying to explain it through a television screen. Okay. And I am going to mix just a bit more white, just a little bit. All right, that's the color we were looking for. Okay, can you see that? Does that help at all? Okay, as far as I know, that's going to be the colors we're working with today, except over in here, you know what, let's put some imaginary color over in there as well. And those colors are going to be a lightened up Payne's Gray just a little bit, because we're getting further away from that sun. So I want the tips of these trees and everything over in here just to be just a small difference than the background color. So there's some Payne's Gray. Add a little bit of raw umber to soften that color. It's too dark. I don't have enough Payne's Gray out, so. And none of the colors that we're using today, you're not going to have a lot of any of them. So kind of go light on mixing. And I know I hate going back and remixing if I'm running low on a color, but in this small amount, we won't be using these colors again when we get up in these clouds. So you don't want to over mix them. Well, some of these pinks and yellows we will up in there, but it's going to be such a small volume. I would suggest you not over mix today, because putting that small amount in your freezer, they might be a little bit dry when you pull them out. All right. Mix this a little bit more, little darker. And then to actually give a gradual fade, or a to make it more of a gradual turn from our greens to our, you can actually add some of these greens to this gray so that you're transitioning from the greens over in here on over to the blues, or the grays, darker grays over here. All right, I hope this was clear as mud today. Actually, it may be clear as mud. I hope it was understandable. I think I was just frustrated with my bad painting day on Thursday or Friday, whichever day it was. But girls and guys, that happens. Even when I was painting constantly and regularly, I would have some really bad days and just end up just totally washing that. That's one of the reasons with the alkyds, you let it dry for 2 or 3 days before painting again. That way, if you have a bad painting day, the paint in the background is dry, and you can take your paintbrush and some clean Turpenoid and just put it on there, take a clean dry cloth and wipe it off until you've got all the new color off, and you haven't really damaged anything. Now, I can't remember whether that's something I was able to do when I was using just absolute oil paints, or if that's only something I've been able to do since I've been using the alkyd. And the alkyd, I've been using it for, I know, longer than 15 years. So I just can't remember back that far. But that is one of the benefits. If you have a really bad painting day, you can just take Turpenoid and clean off what you've done, and then go from there. In the worst case scenario, you let it dry and you sand it. I've done that too. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to do that on the Big Lake Junaluska painting, and just sanding it down smooth and starting fresh with a new color. But anyway, I will see you all in a little while. This one will be going up on Monday, and today is Sunday. And then the other one will be going up within just a very short time afterward. All right, let's get her done. Love you.